A conservative state senator is calling new protections for transgender people in Dallas a, quote, sneak attack. Senator Don Huffines, a Tea Party conservative, tweeted the LGBT ordinance was rushed through with almost no public review, calling it Obama and Pelosi-style sneak attack governance. Later, he compared it to the ordinance that was struck down in Houston last week, tweeting, Houston voters soundly said no to men in women's bathrooms. Dallas's new sneak attack LGBT ordinance must be repealed and carefully reviewed. Dallas City Councilman Philip Kingston tweeted back, firing back. The city went through a year of public discussion and makes no change to the existing public policy of Dallas. Then he told Huffines to, quote, stop lying. Fox 4's Lori Brown covered today's Dallas council vote, and this was the most controversy to come out of it. Lori, who does this new ordinance apply to?
Clarice, Dallas businesses, private schools, and communities will now clearly be prohibited from discriminating against someone who is transgender. The ordinance sailed through City Council, which is far different from what happened just 240 miles away in Houston.
In Houston, people protested an ordinance that would protect the transgender community from discrimination. The often repeated slogan, no men in women's bathrooms. But in Dallas, not one person turned out to City Hall to speak against a language revision similar to the one put before Houston voters.
I'm also proud of our citizens of Dallas in supporting all this.
Dallas was one of the first cities in the country to adopt an ordinance protecting the transgender community in 2002. But the transgender community said the language protecting them wasn't clear, so today's vote solved that, putting transgender protections along the same lines as those for race and sexual orientation.
We knew it when you voted on it in 2002. We would need to make this change, and here we are 13 years later, and we hope that you'll finally make that happen.
Were people just not ready for this then?
Well, I think if more people knew of the actual language, there might have been more discussion about it before it passed that way.
Any opposed? No opposed.
Today, the Dallas City Council approved the new language unanimously, without any discussion.
Civil rights should never be put up to a vote.
Raphael McDonald says the campaign against the ordinance in Houston was based on scare tactics.
We've had this protections here in Dallas for 12 years, no complaints.
Dallas's ordinance, which is now more clear, does allow men who identify themselves as women to use women's restrooms and vice versa. And that applies to all Dallas businesses and even private schools. Dallas ISD already adopted a similar ordinance in 2011.
In the entire United States, there's no one's been arrested for being transgender in a bathroom because somebody was threatened by a transgender person. It's never happened.
I've learned under Dallas's 2002 ordinance, there have been an average of 7 complaints a year. Most of the complaints are resolved with an apology and policy change, but if they're not, they result in a $500 fine. Clarice.
Lori Brown in our Dallas newsroom.